All right, I'm back. Okay, this is part three, I think. Hi, everybody. This is Marc Sims, and I'm just asking, or this is just a few questions. My little podcast. I'm finishing up. This is like part three with Ben Joravsky of the Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago, really Chicago Reader. But your podcast, Ben, is hosted by the Chicago Sun-Times, Chicago Reader, right?
That is correct.
You,
As you know, we broadcast it, we tape it, record it at the Chicago Sun-Times office.
yeah, but you
Studio.
write for the Reader.
I write for column for the Reader. In fact, I just finished a brilliant column. Thank you, Mark, for saying that. Which is going to run this Wednesday.
One next time I got to have you on to talk about movies and all that because you love movies. First, you love politics. You love movies and you love basketball. That's about right in that order, right?
Wait, what was the order?
Okay,
Give me the order one more.
politics, movies, basketball.
Wow, it's hard to say.
Oh, basketball's number one. Don't say that, Ben.
I would say that politics, they're tied, and they're tied. I love basketball, pro basketball. I'm not really into the college games, and I love movies. I see at least 2 movies a week. So,
Wow.
And I read obsessively about politics and talk about it. So I guess politics, basketball, movies. I guess that would be the order.
Oh, I had it sort of right. But we were talking about integration on this other thing. And so, remember, I see the world from the far south side. I was born in 62, raised here, and been here all my life. And so I see the world from that vantage point. Now, of course, I call you a Chicagoan because you've been here since the 80s.
Yeah.
So you would say, I'm not a Chicagoan. No, you're not a born and raised Chicagoan, but you are a Chicagoan. You know that, Ben.
I don't have the attitude of a Chicagoan. I'm not a Chicagoan.
Okay, you're talking about, well, how long, do you have to be born in Chicago to have the attitude?
I don't know. Or you have to willingly adopt it. And there's so many things that Chicagoans adopt, the way they behave, that I just shake my head. I don't understand you. I don't get. For instance, the easiest one off the top. I will never understand why Chicagoans differentiate between being a White Sox fan and a Cubs fan. I will never understand that. Most of the people who say that don't even live in Chicago. Like, they don't live in the North Side. They don't live in the South Side. And to me, it sort of accentuates all the bad things about Chicago, the tribalism in this city, which is something I learned when I moved here in the 80s. Where neighborhood are you from, and what parish are you in, and this tribalistic attitude that Chicago has, which is why we're such suckers, saps, because we're so easily exploited and played against one another. And politicians have been doing that forever, and so that's just all embedded in the whole White Sox Cubs rivalry.
But that's all going away for different things, mainly demographics. The Chicago with the old ethnic European, i.e., white folks, come over here and since the 18 whatever it was in the 1900s. That's going away because of the demographics. I'm going to link this back to integration. Let me talk about Lori Lightfoot and integration. For the listeners outside Chicago, if you told most Chicagoans, even being that a black woman, not from the South Side, not from the West Side, from Logan Square, who doesn't really matter, she's a lesbian, gay, has a wife and everything, and the whole nine, she would be elected mayor of Chicago. No way. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of dynamics that made her mayor, if you will. A lot of dynamics happen, but mainly the demographics of the city. Do you agree or disagree, Ben?
I don't know what you mean by the demographics of the city.
Well, going back to the politics, the town has been a majority-minority city for I don't know how long, right? Most of the wealth and power are with European Americans, i.e., white people. But the demographics are changing so much. Like Mayor Daley was mayor when I was a kid, right? His son was mayor for like 22 years, right? Something ridiculous. So for like 44 years, a lot of folks have been under the Daley machine and the Daley regime. But those days are pretty much over. As you can say, they've ended. And that goes along with the Chicago White Sox and the Cubs, whatever, and all that stuff. It's over. So which is actually in some ways good. And let me try to link this to integration.
Okay.
The Chicago, like when I was a kid, no, I'm not gonna go. That's too personal. But the point is that I saw some of the white flight when I was a kid. You know, the whites
Okay.
leaving Roseland, leaving Inglewood. Those them folks, a lot of, or the whites that lived. This is I was still alive, but before my time. But now you know what's going on. When Dr. King got rocks thrown on his head at Marquette Park, and he said, paraphrasing, "I have never seen such hostility, not in Alabama nor Mississippi." That's Marquette Park, but most of those whites are moved away and passed away. This is a different Chicago as we move along. So, but the South Side where the Negroes live, where I live, is still black, and they say most of our neighborhoods, especially the like Bronzeville, is sort of changing. They most of us have to be gone before for other people to move in, because no one wants to live around black folks, including us. I mean, what I mean black. I mean that's so sometime all over the country. Nobody wants to live with us because of the crime and other things. But the point I'm trying to say though,
Not true.
well, no, no,
I,
no, no.
I,
What I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, because when I see younger whites who live like in near Garfield Park, I say, "What? You live over here?" But see, these white folks, they not as scared as Negroes as their grandparents or great grandparents. You know what I'm saying, right? It's a different
yeah,
ball game.
yeah.
But
Okay, I'll
my
agree.
neighborhood ain't flipping. My neighborhood may be a Latino neighborhood in 20, 30 years. It sure ain't gonna be no white neighborhood. Not where I live, right?
Well, one of the things we do on the show, and I know you know this because you've commented on it, is I bring on demographers, Alden Lowry, Rob Farrell, or two right off the top, who study and analyze the changes in population trends throughout the city and make all kinds of evaluations and to express opinions about it. And I urge everybody to go check out some of those interviews with Alden Lowry, Loury, or Rob Farrell, Paral, and because they take the deep dive on what you're saying, and the trend is that black people are moving out of the city of Chicago. You know this, Mark, and that population of white people, is relatively speaking, is rising. Now, the Hispanic population has been really rising fast, but that's in jeopardy because of Trump's anti-immigration programs. Rob Perel was talking about this. So the crackdown at the border, how is that going to impact Chicago neighborhoods? So when you talk about Hispanics moving into black neighborhoods on the south side to replace the black people who moved out, that'll only happen as long as immigrants pour in from the southern border, and I don't know if that's going to continue in the age of Trump.
No, it might not. But what I was trying to get to is living together. See, I was raised in an all black neighborhood in the '70s. Started grammar school in '67, and so I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable and uncomfortable with this, but but the point is that I wanted that for my children. I wanted them to go to an all black grammar school and high school. Now I may have hurt them academically and may have cut them off from $1 million in lifetime earnings, send them to an all black neighborhood school. But the point is that I didn't want integration for my children doing grammar school and high school. But I want go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is that were you saying you did not want your kids going to school with white kids?
No, I mean yes, I did not want my children to go to school with white kids. No, that's what
Okay,
I want.
well, you're like a George Wallace type, then. Not the comedian, but the former governor. You just didn't want any kind of integration.
No, because I was raised in an all black school, so that's what I was comfortable with.
Okay, so I had this conversation interview with Alden Lowry. I urge everybody. I keep talking about it, but it was a fascinating interview. And Alden was talking about Alden is again a demographer. He works for WBEZ. Uh, you know this. He's one of the smartest guys in Chicago, and he was talking about the attitude that many black parents have. Maybe you have this attitude that if they put their kids in a school with white kids, automatically their kids will be targeted, and there will be a prejudice against them, and it's almost to be like a oppressive force. Whereas if they put their kids into an all-black school, there won't be any expectations. There'll be fewer prejudice against their kids, and their children will be able to excel. Now, that was an attitude, essentially summarizing that some black people have regarding integration. Did you have that same attitude?
Yeah, but I thought Alden Lowry was talking more about sending the children to a predominantly black college. I thought that's what he was saying, and not so much
Well, he
grammar
was
school and
also
high
talking
school.
about black high schools.
Oh, he said high schools too. Okay, I missed that
Yeah,
part.
he was like
Yeah,
Brooks High School on the south side, where the old Mendel. I don't know if you know where it is.
right,
It's
right.
not
Old
far from
Mendel,
me.
Old Mendel Catholic Prep. Yeah.